Hi, Gunner's Recaps here. Today we will be taking a look at the 2012 Spanish fantasy comedy film, Ghost Graduation. The first scene begins with a man named Modesto, who has the unique ability to see and even communicate with ghosts since he was a child. It appears that he cannot distinguish whether the person in front of him is human or a ghost. He is currently in a pub where he notices a girl and kisses her, but he hears the crowd mocking him. In the eyes of the public, he is kissing the air. This problem has a negative impact on Modesto's life because 7 schools have rejected him as they believe he is insane. Modesto sees a psychologist to help him deal with his problem. According to the psychologist, it is just his imagination, as there are no such things as ghosts in the world. On the other hand, Modesto sees the spirit of the psychologist's father mocking his son from behind. On the way back, he saves a person from being hit by a truck, but that person also appears to be a ghost. In the following scene, a teacher teaches a literature class to the students. After class, the teacher goes to the library to get copies of the study materials. A skeleton approaches him and presses him against a photocopy machine. He is also compelled to print a defamatory photograph of himself. The teacher tries to flee, but the skeleton pursues him. Books, lamps, and staplers fly around and strike him. The skeleton then throws the teacher out of the window, injuring him badly. In the eyes of the public, the teacher appears to have attempted suicide. The next day, a man named Otegi arrives at the school to meet Tina, the school principal. He expresses his concern about regular school issues, such as teachers quitting, frequent accidents, and students' nightmares. He wishes to volunteer to help the school, but Tina refuses to accept his help. A school clerk named Manuela informs Tina that the chairlady, a school board member, is waiting for her in the office. Tina visits the chairlady, who reminds her of another horrible incident in the school. She pressures Tina to solve the problems as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Otegi appears, claiming himself to be Tina's assistant. He also promises to work on the issues that improve the school's reputation. Later, Modesto shows up at the same school for a job interview. His resume impresses Tina, as he has experience from multiple schools. Correspondingly, she hires him immediately. Modesto has the task of instructing the students of Class 4B. He approaches one of the girls and inquires about the class, but she runs away without saying anything. Afterwards, Modesto approaches the group of boys who are standing in front of Class 4B. When Modesto inquires about the class, they misguide him to an old library instead of showing him Class 4B. Modesto arrives at the old library and notices 4 strange students. It turns out that those students are ghosts. They believe Modesto can't see them, so they try to scare him with a book and a skeleton as they did with the previous teachers, but it doesn't work. Meanwhile, the previous girl to whom Modesto asks about Class 4B arrives at the library to tell her other ghost friends about Modesto. They discover that he is the first person who can see them after 20 years of dying. As a result, they yell, and Modesto, unaware of anything, walks away. Modesto meets Tina on the stairs in the next scene and informs her that he is resigning. Tina stops him and inquires about the reason for his resignation, while Modesto notices the photographs of the 5 ghost students who died in 1986. Those 5 students are the same ghosts whom Modesto met in the old library. The 5 ghost students pursue Modesto, so he flees the school. They reach the school gate, but they cannot cross the school boundary and are pulled back, preventing them from leaving the school. Tina also notices something out of the ordinary at this point. Later, Tina locates Modesto's address with the help of his resume and visits him. Tina persuades Modesto to tell her what he witnessed at school. Following this, both return to the school, where Modesto informs her that one of the ghost students is pregnant. Tina concurs, stating that the deceased girl named Marivi was pregnant at her death. Furthermore, she reveals that the 5 students named Danny, Jorge, Pinfloy, Angela, and Marivi were the previous students who died in the library fire. According to her, those students were detained during the Christmas party in the library. She believes in Modesto and asks for his assistance in getting rid of the ghosts, or else the school would be closed down by the board. Tina seems very tense and helpless. Modesto is pleased because she is the first to believe him and genuinely thinks he is not insane. Under the circumstances, he agrees to lend a hand. Meanwhile, the other students of Class 4B form a group to communicate with the ghost. They begin questioning the spirits by placing a glass in an alphabetical code. Pinfloy initially responds to their questions by moving the glass on the alphabet, but a few moments later, Danny and Pinfloy scare those students and chase them away with a chair and a book. Elsa, a student, is intrigued, so she stays and asks more questions. Jorge is the only one left in the room, so he responds to her questions and begins speaking to her. He appears to be delighted to talk to her. The following day, Modesto visits his psychologist to seek advice from a deceased psychologist he had seen at that place. According to the dead psychologist, ghosts who remain in this world have something to complete. They must satisfy their incomplete wishes to move on. In pursuit, Modesto devises a strategy for graduating the ghost students. As those students died inside the school and did not have the chance to study and graduate, Modesto thinks graduation will free the ghost's spirits. He provides the books to the ghost students and persuades them to graduate to get out of school. On the other hand, Danny is not happy with Modesto's decision. As a result, Danny, with his friends Jorge and Pinfloy, meet Modesto against a tree. In the following scene, all ghosts seem happy with Modesto's decision, except for Danny. Consequently, the four of them begin to study Modesto's classes. They take graduation seriously and focus on their studies as they all want to get out of that school. Meanwhile, Jorge begins conversing with Elsa via a mini laptop. They begin to develop feelings for one another. Angela, on the other hand, is in music class. She expresses an interest in music to Danny. He insists on her joining the choir. Danny increases the echo as soon as she begins singing, causing all students to flee in terror. Later, Jorge approaches Danny and tells him not to bully their mutual friends. Danny then expresses his rage, pointing out that all four of them are following Modesto, leaving him alone. From the next day, Danny also joins to take classes with Modesto. During the class, Tina approaches Modesto and informs him that Otegi has invited the chairlady to Founders Day. She is concerned that the chairlady might fire her and shut the school due to the ghost of students. But Modesto consoles her by saying that he will make the ghost students graduate before Foundation Day. Modesto and Tina appear to like each other. Time passes, and all of the students interestingly enroll in various courses. However, Modesto appears to be a freak in the eyes of the general public. In between, Jorge and Elsa spend more time talking to each other. Elsa expresses her willingness to commit suicide to be with him. Finally, the exam day arrives, and everyone keeps up their pen. Marivi scribbles the cheat in her tummy. Being a bright young lady, Angela assists Pinfloy in passing the exam. Danny, too, picks up the test obediently. Eventually, they all pass the exam. Following that, a white light appears in the sky, and they all believe that it is their time to be free. However, black clouds soon obscure the sun, preventing them from departing. As a result, they are disappointed in Modesto because they believe he tricked them. Henceforth, they cause havoc in the school. They splatter cold oil on the showering student and burn food in the canteen. They kicked a literature teacher out of the building yet again. All this absurdity results in Modesto being the culprit. Consequently, together with Tina, the school administration decides to fire Modesto. He then walks over to the ghost students and apologizes. He also informs them that they cannot reincarnate because their wishes have not yet been fulfilled. Unexpectedly, Danny admits that he was the one who started the fire 20 years ago, causing all of them to die. He also reveals that he hid it because he was afraid of being reincarnated to a worse place. Modesto then bids them goodbye and departs. Tina approaches Modesto as he walks out of the school and apologizes, explaining that she had no other choice but to save the school. Disappointed, Modesto walks out. A few days later, Tina asks Manuela to make an announcement in which she invites the ghost students to meet Tina in the library. She asks for their assistance in calling Modesto back into the library because she misses him and hopes they do. They agree to contact Modesto because they realize he is the only person who can assist them. Pinfloy then takes over Manuela's body and persuades Modesto to continue the school under the guise of Tina. He also confesses feelings on behalf of Tina. Concerning that, Modesto agrees to return. Later, Angela hands over Marivi's boyfriend's letter, revealing that she kept it in her locker during one of the past parties. Marivi is about to read it when Pinfloy grabs it and reads it out loud for her. Marivi's boyfriend expresses doubts in the letter that the baby she is carrying does not belong to him. He also tells her to forget about him because he cannot handle her and the child's responsibilities. Marivi is broke hearing that letter. The following day is Foundation Day. Tina, along with the ghost students, is thrilled when Modesto returns. However, Otegi intervenes and prevents Modesto from returning to school. Suddenly, the ghost students launch a slew of basketballs from the building. Some basketballs strike Otegi. He argues with Tina, and at the same time, Marivi realizes that Otegi is none other than her boyfriend. She curses him and requests that Modesto speaks with him. However, Otegi is obstinate and fails to recognize his mistake. In the hall, the entire audience snoozes because of the tedious and predictable musical performance. Modesto comes up with an idea and encourages Angela to sing. She then possesses a girl, walks to the center of the stage, and sings a classic old song, eliciting enthusiastic applause from the audience. The hall quickly transforms into a concert. A few moments later, Otegi interrupts and pushes her off the stage. He then begins to compliment himself and requests that the chairlady hire him as the new principal. Danny becomes enraged and possesses Otegi as a result of this. Danny, who now owns Otegi's body, insults Otegi and ensures no one will hire him. Just then, Tina walks up to the stage and takes command of the situation. Following this, Danny apologizes to his friends for his selfishness. The other friends forgive him and get reunited. Jorge soon realizes that he, too, has become selfish. He remembers Tina saying that she would join him by killing herself. As a result, he rushes to the pool, discovering that Elsa has drowned herself. Jorge summons Modesto for assistance. Elsa's soul meets Jorge and is delighted to be with him in the process. But Jorge persuades her to live life to the fullest. He also promises that they will be together one day. Modesto is trying his best to keep Elsa alive, and after a while, he is successful in doing so, where Elsa's soul returns to her body. Except for Pinfloy, everyone's incomplete wishes are now fulfilled. Pinfloy reveals that his wish is to go to a party, so they all go to a dance club to fulfill his desire. Pinfloy is having a good time at the party he hasn't been to in 20 years. On the other hand, Modesto dances with Tina, kicking off their new relationship. After the party, they all congregate outside the club. They soon notice a bright light shining down on them. Modesto informs them that it is time for them to depart. All five hold each other's hands and vanish with the light. Modesto and Tina stand by and watch them leave. Tina finally confesses her feelings for Modesto and kisses him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.